Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Ndudi Godwin Elmelu, and I represent the good people of our natural Oshimili Federal Constituency. I'm proudly from Delta State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion moved by the Chairman, House Committee on Business and Rules. I so second.
Thank you. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. We're going to go straight to the consideration of that same report of the Committee of the Whole. And that's the 9th order of the day, which is consideration of a bill.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I am Abubakar Hassan Fulata. I represent Bruneiwa Krika Sama Guli Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I move for the suspension of relevant sections of Order 7 to enable Mr. Speaker preside over the Committee of the Whole. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Elmelu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Ndudi Godwin Elmelu, and I represent the good people of our Oshimili Federal Constituency. I'm from Delta State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion moved by Honorable Fulata. I so second.
All right, those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. So the 9th order of the day is the consideration of the Electoral Act number 6/2010 to regulate the conduct of elections in the federal, states, and area councils in the Federal Capital Territory and for related matters. Honorable members will recall that the bill was committed to the Committee of the Whole on Wednesday, 19th, 2022. And the House leader will move for its consideration. Well, first of all, House leader, just move that we move to the Committee of the Whole. I can't remember House leader moving.
Yes. No, he's raising something else.
Yes. Yes. House leader, move for its consideration and then you move for us to dissolve the Committee of the Whole after that. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, Ado Dogwa is my name. Mr. Speaker, I represent the good people of Chudumada Dogwa Federal Constituency. Honorable members, I'm from Kano State. I rise to move as directed by the Speaker that this House moves Committee of the Whole to consider report. I so move. Thank you.
Honorable Leke Abejide.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved by House Leader. I so second.
Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. House dissolve the Committee of the Whole. Honorable Ben Kalu, please approach. All right. Honorable colleagues, the bill. Please try and distribute it very quickly. Are we ready? Okay, we're going to proceed. Honorable colleagues, the bill to be considered is for an act to reconsider the Electoral Act 2021 to regulate the conduct of elections in the federal, states, and area councils in the federal capital territory and for related matters. And before I call on the leader of the House to give us a short synopsis of what it says, I think it's very important I lay a little foundation on how we are where we are today. It's important. A letter was written by Mr. President after declining assent to the bill, and the relevant portion of the letter is paragraph 5 of Mr. President's letter, and it reads, "In the premise of the above, I hereby signify to the National Assembly that I'm constrained to withhold assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2021 in line with the provisions of Section 58(1) and 4 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. It is my considered position that the political parties should be allowed to freely exercise the right of choice in deciding which of direct or indirect primaries to adopt in the conduct of their primary elections as their respective realities may permit." It is this letter that is this withholding on assent based on the letter from Mr. President, which we read on the floor last December. So it is this letter that has brought us where we are, and in line with the provisions of our rules, we are in order to recommit and reconsider based on the observation officially communicated to us as a House. And the relevant rule here is Order 12, Rule 20, which the subhead is reconsideration of bills. And it says, any bill referred to the House by the President withholding assent may be reconsidered through a substantive motion by the House, which has been done. Paragraph 2 says the motion shall include all the clauses objected to by the President, which shall be reconsidered in the Committee of the Whole, which is what we're about to do. And I believe there's only one clause objected to by Mr. President. Sub 3, if necessary, the House may rescind its decision on this affected clause and reconsider the bill in the Committee of the Whole. So basically, our rules have tied our hands. We can't even go outside that clause to inject any other thing, even if we so desire. So we'll just go straight to the Leader of the House, who will just give us I'm not even sure if it's necessary, it's a one-line
thank you,
clause.
Mr. Chairman, honorable members. Ado Dogwa is my name. Once again, I represent the people of Tudunwada Dogwa Federal Constituency. Mr. Chairman, honorable members, I come from Kano State. Mr. Speaker, I think having rightly done what you have just done, I just rise to thank you so much for doing exactly what should have been my job on the floor. And I therefore stand to second all the reasons and facts you have put before members. That's why we are here, and I beg of members to consider in the interest of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and our people. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to do your job. We'll go straight to Clause 84, which reads, a political party seeking to nominate candidates for election under this act shall hold primaries. That's what that clause reads. Shall hold primaries for aspirants to all elective positions. So that establishes that primaries will be held. That's that clause. And then it goes on in carried up to the procedure for the nomination of candidates by political parties for the various elective positions shall be, and this is the original thing that came to the House, shall be by direct or indirect primaries. Leader of the House, so that I don't take your job, can you revert us back to primary?
Mr. Speaker, sir. No, Mr. Speaker, or chairman, whatever.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No. Chairman, sir. Chairman,
Honorable
sir.
members,
Fall down.
I move that this House do revert to plenary and report progress. I so move.
There are other errors. All right. I believe those other errors are being looked into. 4A. What does it say? Read it to us. Read it.
Chairman, I read. A political party that adopts the system of indirect primaries for the choice of its candidate shall adopt the procedure outlined below. A. In the case of nomination to the position of presidential candidate, a political party shall hold special conventions in each of the 36 states of the Federation and FCT. Then, where delegates shall vote, for each of the aspirants at designated centers in each state capital on specified dates. Mr. Chairman, if you go further, a national convention shall be held for the ratification. So you don't elect at the national conventions. The election of the presidential candidates will remain at the various state levels. That is what this English says, sir. And it is not the way the primaries have been held. This is not the intent of the Electoral Act that has been passed, that was referred back to us to consider the inclusion, to give Nigerians the option of direct or indirect. This still negates the principles of what we have always done here. And it is my suspicion, Mr. Chairman, that it is intended for this Electoral Act not to be signed. These are all obstacles that have been put on the way of Nigerians to actually determine who governs them so that they can provide effective leadership. Mr. Chairman, we have to take all these clauses one after the other and allow members to make input.
As a seasoned legislator, I have read the rules of the House to you, and you know that we are confined to the observations made by Mr. President. We have a near-perfect document. It may not be perfect, but we have a near-perfect document. Thank you. We adjourn to plenary. Honorable colleagues, the House in the Committee of Whole considered the report on a bill for an act to repeal the Electoral Act number 6, 2010 and enact the Electoral Act 2021 to regulate the conduct of elections in the federal, state, and local area councils in the Federal Capital Territory, and for related matters, and approve Clause 84, Sub 1 and Sub 2, and the long title of the report. We'll ask the House Leader to move for the adoption of the report. House Leader, please move for adoption of the report.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable members, I rise to move that this House to adopt the report of the Committee of the Whole as read by the Honorable Speaker. I so move. Thank you.
Deputy House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Comrade Peter Ohiozeje Akpatasin. I represent the people of Akoko Edo Federal Constituency. I'm from Edo State. Mr. Speaker, I second the motion as ably and correctly moved by the Leader of the House. I so second.
Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable colleagues, the report of the Committee of Whole on the reconsideration of the Electoral Act Amendment has been adopted by the House, but for emphasis' sake, I need to state categorically that what was adopted, what was considered and adopted by the House was only one clause, and that was clause 84(2). And that was the clause to do with direct and indirect primaries. No other clause in the Electoral Act amendment was considered or adopted. So, the Electoral Act amendment that was sent ab initio initially to Mr. President remains as it is. The only change is 84(2), wherein we have now included, in addition, indirect primaries, which was what was originally brought to us by the Electoral Committee. We'll take two motions of urgent public importance before we move on, and then just basically might have to adjourn the House. Now, Honorable Lodebumi, make it quick, just read it. We need to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I came on the 8th of 4. Mr. Speaker, and I want to seek the indulgence of my colleagues to suspend the relevant rules of the House to allow me to take the day to recognize and honor late Otumba Christopher Adebayo Alao Akala. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Captain Ajao, do you want a second? Is he here? Honorable Buba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Yusuf Buba Yakub. I represent Gombe Home Federal Constituency from Adamawa State. I rise to second that we suspend our rules to enable him to take this matter as urgent and very important. I so second.
Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Very quickly, just the motion and the prayers, and let's put the question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Abridged version of the motion, abridged. Go ahead.
Okay, just two paragraphs, Mr. Speaker. Need to recognize and honor late Otumba Dr. Christopher Adebayo Alao Akala. That on Wednesday, 12th of January 2022, while everyone is still on the mood of celebration of the new year, the news of the death of His Excellency Otumba Dr. Christopher Adebayo Alao Akala, the former Deputy Governor and the Executive Governor of Oyo State, broke. The House further notes that the former governor started his life career as a cadet inspector of police in June 1974 at Nigeria Police College, Ikeja, and retired from the Nigeria Police Force as an Assistant Commissioner of Police in September 1995. Aware that Otumba Dr. Adebayo Alao Akala served the Nigeria Police in various capacities and even as ADC to the IGP Sunday Adewusi, officer in charge of the Advanced Training Wing, Police College, Ikeja, before he started his political career. In 1999, when he contested and won the chairmanship seat of Ogbomoso North Local Government, before he became the Deputy Governor and Executive Governor of Oyo State in 2003 and 2007, respectively. Concerned that the former governor has served the state and contributed immensely towards the growth, development, peace, and sustainability of the state and Nigeria by extension, while in office as the Deputy Governor and as the Executive Governor of Oyo State. Hence, it will be forever be means. Further concerned that the death is a national loss, irreplaceable and deserve a national recognition for its relentless and selfless service to our dear country, Nigeria. He has resolved to urge the House to observe a minute silence in his honor. Number two, urge the House to send a delegation to commiserate with his family. Number three, urge the federal government of Nigeria to immortalize October Dr. Christopher Adebayo Alau Akala. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
No, we're going to, okay, just 1 second, and I need to put a question. We're not going to debate this matter. Go ahead.
Yeah, come on. Use this one.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I'm Honorable Akin Alabi. I represent the good people of Egbeda on our federal constituency. I'm from Oyo State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion ably moved by Honorable Odebumi in respect of our late leader, His Excellency Governor Christopher Adebayo Alau Akala. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I still second, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, so we put the question. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Gumi, very quickly. A minute silence. Let Honorable Gumi take his word. Before we leave, we'll do the minute silence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Engineer Suleiman Abubakar Gumi, representing the good people of Gumi, Bukuyum Federal Constituency. I rise under Order 804 to request for the House to allow me to take this matter of national public importance, which states the urgent need to address the recent killings and destruction of properties in some communities in Bukuyum and Anka local government by armed bandits. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Sada. Can you second Honorable Gumi's motion? Sada Soli.
Mr. Speaker, my name is Sada Soli Jibia. I rise to second the motion.
Those in support that this is urgent enough, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Gumi, please, very quickly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Starting with that between Wednesday 5th and Thursday 6th January 2022, large number of armed bandits attacked and killed 36 persons in Bukuyum local government and 22 persons in Anka local government, while also raising several villages and communities, including Rafindanya, Kurfa, Rafingero, that were completely burnt down. Disturbed that apart from the killings, the wanton destruction of properties has adverse psychosocial effect on the affected persons and a huge humanitarian crisis in these parts of the country. Also disturbed that other communities, including Laki Takos, Benin Tudu, Leshi, and Gambanda Magero, have received threats of invasion by these bandits in the event that they fail
Honorable Benson, please approach the chair.
in the event that they fail to pay levies imposed by these bandits. Aware that the quick response of the Nigerian Air Force aircraft within 2 hours of the said banditry attack helped to quell further attacks and loss of lives. Concerned that the response of the military aircraft, though timely, was limited by virtue of capacity of the aircraft to operate at night and also hit targets sighted amidst innocent citizens. Also concerned that the porous Nigerian borders between Niger Republic and some northern states, including Zamfara, contributes largely in heightening the level of arms proliferation in the state at large, and also serves as one of the root causes of banditry and criminal activities therein. Note that the recent air raids by the Nigerian Air Force have dispersed the bandits into several areas within the forest surrounding the state, thereby making the surrounding communities and environs vulnerable to coverted attacks. Also note that as a result of these airstrikes, most of the fleeing armed bandits are attacking villages along their escape routes. Desirous of strengthening the capacity to win the war against banditry or terrorism, while facilitating efforts to bring succor to affected persons and communities. Resolves: observe 1 minute in silence for innocent Nigerians who lost their lives as a result of armed attacks in Anka and Bukuim local government areas of the first state. Call on the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, as well as National Emergency Management Agency in particular, to, as a matter of urgency, complement the effort of the state government in addressing the needs of displaced persons caused by the attacks. Commend the Nigerian Air Force for their intervention in the recent attacks, which apparently stemmed the tide of this particular attack. Urge the Nigerian Air Force to deploy more appropriate fighter jets like the Super Tucano aircraft to Zamfara State in order to adequately suppress the attacks. Also call on the Nigerian military to further fortify the areas with increased presence, given that the attacks
Honorable
are...
Bente, approach the acting chief whip. Honorable Bente, you are distracting the sitting. Approach the acting chief whip, please.
Also call on the Nigerian military to further fortify these areas with increased presence, given that the attacks are as a result of the fleeing and relocating bandits. Also urge the Nigerian Immigration Service and Nigerian Customs to intensify border control measures in these areas in order to reduce the high level of arms proliferation and illegal immigrants into the country, as well as the fleeing bandits. Equally call on the Nigerian police...
approach the acting chief whip.
Equally call on
yes, he has to take permission from the acting chief whip, please. Honorable Abente.
Equally call on the Nigerian police to investigate threats of invasion by bandits and the alleged levies imposed on these communities with the aim of curtailing the threats and possible attacks. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Maki, this second. Oh, no. Yeah, go ahead and second, and then we'll put the question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues. I'm Abubakar Maki Eleman. I'm from Jigawa State. I represent Madam Dorikauga, my federal constituency. Mr. Speaker, I raise to second the motion heavily moved by my honorable colleagues. I so second. Thank you.
Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. The last motion of budget public finance, then we call it a day, is Honorable Kuya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name remains Ademori Aliukuye. I represent Shomolu Federal Constituency. I'm from Lagos State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask for the waiving of our rules to permit that this motion of urgent public importance be taken. That's all move.
Wait. We need to know what the motion is before we can grant permission to know whether it's. What is the motion?
Mr. Speaker, the motion is to investigate the invasion of Magodo GRA Phase 2 in Lagos State by the Nigerian police under the direction of the Inspector General of Police and the Attorney General of the Federation. That's the motion.
Honorable Benson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. I remain Babajimi Benson. I represent Ikorodu Federal Constituency, Lagos State. I stand, Mr. Speaker, to second the motion ably moved by my good brother, Honorable Omo Kuye, Ademori Kuye. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Those who consider this important enough and allow us to take a third motion of urgent public importance, please say aye. Those against it, say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Kuye, move your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a motion of urgent public importance, praying for an investigation into the invasion of Magodo GRA Phase 2 in Lagos State by the Nigerian police under the direction of the Inspector General of Police and the Attorney General of the Federation. Aware that the resident of Magodo GRA Phase 2, Shangisha in Lagos State, woke up on the morning of December 5th, 2020, to the sight of hundreds of armed wedging thugs, stand-looking and fully armed policemen and members of the Shangisha Landlord Association purportedly to execute a judgment. Aware also that the judgment was supposedly being enforced was delivered in 2012 by the Supreme Court in the military governor of Lagos State and others versus Adebayo Adeiga, wherein the Apex Court affirmed the judgment of the Court of Appeal and the High Court delivered on the 31st day of December 1993 in the suit number ID 795/88. Further aware that the declaratory judgment of the Supreme Court only recognized the judgment creditor as being entitled to the allocation and relocation of 549 plots of land in Shangisha village, not possession of any land. Cognizant that several attempts have been made by Lagos State government since 2012 to 2015 to settle the matter amicably, making different engagements with judgment creditors, presenting a proposal for reallocation in the Magoto residential scheme within the Badagry area of the state, which some of them accepted. Informed that the Lagos State again in 2016 initiated a settlement to reallocate Ibejuleki coastal scheme located in Ibejuleki area. But this was rejected by the lead plaintiff as government continued to dialogue with the majority of judgment creditors to reach a consensus towards implementing the judgment. Worried that despite the ongoing settlement efforts and pendency of an interlocutory injunction dated December 1st, 2020, before the Court of Appeal, seeking an order restraining him and his agent, Chief Adeiga, purportedly encouraged by the Attorney General of the Federation and the Inspector General of Police, stormed the estate with unknown bailiffs and armed security operatives to execute a judgment that was purportedly delivered by Lagos High Court. Worried that the execution being presently executed through the office of the AGF with the connivance of the IGP, Inspector General of Police, is illegal, as only the state deputy sheriff can execute say and not talks aided by policemen. Worried that the high-handedness and reckless show of force on the 5th of December...
Chairman NDDC, you are distracting the sitting, please.
Most worried, the Attorney General of the Federation is likely, by his tendencies, to destabilize Lagos State by using his office to back this illegality as meddlesome interloper and the instrumentality of the state, the Nigerian police force, and their illegal court bailiffs and thugs to scuttle ongoing settlements between Lagos State government and Magodo GRA 2 residents and the judgment creditors. Our prayers, Mr. Speaker, is to mandate the House committees on justice, public petition, and police to investigate the involvement of the Attorney General of the Federation and the Inspector General of Police in an attempt to destabilize the peace of Lagos State and scuttle the ongoing settlement process and enforce illegality, and to recommend appropriate sanction for any officer found culpable in the illegal enforcement and breakdown of law and order. I so move, sir. That's it.
Honorable Sages, you want to contribute? Second, okay, go ahead, please.
Mr. Speaker, highly esteemed colleagues, I'm Sergius Ose Ogun. I represent Eastern Northeast, Eastern Southeast. I'm from Edo State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion ably moved by my honorable colleague, Honorable Kuye. I so second.
Motion moved by Honorable Kuye, seconded by Honorable Sergius Ogun. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Deputy Leader, can you move for adjournment? 1 minute silence, yes, as per Odebumi's prayer for Alao Akala. May the souls of the departed rest in peace. Honorable Darlington, during the 1 minute silence, you and Honorable Adeyemi were actually talking and talking out loud. And this is it's very wrong. Please, when we observe a minute silence, let's observe a minute silence. Honorable Darlington, remain standing. I've been told by member say you should remain standing. Can you please apologize to the House and to the dead? Okay, members have pleaded with you. Okay, Honorable, you may sit. So, Deputy Leader, please, can we adjourn?
Mr. Speaker,
your motion has been arrested by the leader.
Honorable colleagues, we are still in session. Honorable colleagues, please get seated. Honorable colleagues, Honorable Gudaji, you come late and you are distracting the sitting. Please, go to your seat.
I am Comrade Peter Hyonze J. Akwatasin, MNI. I represent the great people of Akoko Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I move that we do adjourn this House to 11 o'clock tomorrow. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Maki.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My honorable colleagues, I remain Abubakar Maki Elleman. I'm from Jigawa State. I represent Madam Kaugama Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I stand to second the motion heavily moved by my senior colleague that the House should be adjourned against tomorrow, Thursday, 20th of January 2022. I so second, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Those in favor of the adjournment, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it.